Hey y'all, RC Guides here. I'm gonna show you a quick tutorial for beadlock wheels. So when you're first getting into the crawler scene, your crawler will probably come with glue-on wheels, like this one. You see it's got fake beadlocks. Tries to make them look like them, but in reality it's just glued on. So for mostly just for looks, beadlocks provide an easier way to change your tires and foams and wheels. They're a lot easier to work with, but they're more expensive, and as you see here, have a lot more hardware. So the key parts of most beadlock wheels, there's three pieces. There's the outer part, there's the inner ring, actually the inner part, I guess you could call it, and then the inner like lock ring. So let's just first get this foam in this tire. I usually just go like that, squeeze it up, slip it below the bead. I guess you want to be kind of gentle with it, but the foam generally won't tear super easily. Once you get it in, I kind of put my fingers in the back and pull it towards the outside of the wheel or the tire. And then once it's in there, you'll see there's these little folded up parts. And you just kind of work it around and it'll set itself in there. We got that mounted. So now it's time to put in the inner lock ring. You just push it through the bead and you get it in between both sides of the bead. And then you want the bead to go over the inside of that ring. So we got that in there. Then you can pop the outside of the beadlock on. And now you want to line up the inner piece with that. So for this one, we've got 8 that go along the inside, and then 5 that connect to a little hub that gets screwed onto the axle. So first you do this part, and there's depending on how many screws you have to do different patterns. Like this one is 8. So if I remember correctly, you go boom, 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 boom. So it's kind of like you make 2 plus signs. If you just tighten them all in a circle, it'll put it on wrong. It'll mess with your screws. It's just do a cross pattern. And with 5, you'll go boom, 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 boom. And then, it's different with all of them. So the tool that we'll be using is a 2mm Allen wrench. I think that's what it's called. We just go ahead and put that in there. And all beadlocks are different. These are Endura brand on Amazon. They came pre-mounted with the tires. Had to take them off to switch the foams out because it got wet. So you see we got that one on the bottom. Now we put the one in directly across from it. And when I first put them on, I don't do them all the way tight. I just kind of get them, not super tight, because I like to go over and do the pattern a couple of times to make sure it gets seated evenly. And since you're dealing with something so small, the cross pattern isn't, like, you don't have to do it as precisely as if you were to do a full-scale beadlock wheel. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but you want to do it right if you want it to last long. So we've got 4 in. We just did that one, that one, that one, that one. And now it doesn't really matter which one you choose next. Hold on, I gotta readjust this camera. Boom. I wish I could get a better camera angle on what I'm doing, but so we did that one, and now I'm gonna go. Gonna go from that one to that one. And mounting beadlocks, in my opinion, is really fun. It can be difficult depending on how many screws you have or how tight the beadlock is. There's a lot of different factors, but overall, it's pretty enjoyable. And when you're mounting beadlocks, you want to make sure if you have a directional tire that you have 2 go in one direction, 2 go in the other, or else you'll have to take it all apart, and then that would just not be fun. So now I'm going to go back and tighten them in the pattern a couple of times. So plus sign, and they need to be pretty tight. I think I did that wrong. Yeah, I went from there to there to there. But since I'm not tightening them a ton each time, it's not a big deal. But yeah, some beadlocks have a lot of screws. This one thankfully has 13 total, 8 of which are pretty important. Alright, so this is nearly there. I'm just very strict about the not messing up the hardware. It's kind of a pain in the butt to buy replacements, Alright, so now I've got them pretty tight. I'm going to go back once more and make sure they are solid. And the tool I'm using, you could use a normal Allen wrench, but it's kind of a pain in the butt, and they're so small to hold at the 2mm size. Dynamite makes these really good. I think it's called like a chrome tipped something or other, but they have a big handle and they're really durable. I've had this one for quite a while, but yeah, I recommend it. It's a good tool. So I believe this tire, depending on your wheels and your tires, you can hear that it's vented, which just means that there's air coming out of somewhere to allow the foam to do the work. And you can also have, let me pull up another example on this vehicle. It is not vented, and basically you can run this underwater without water getting in and ruining the foam. But if your wheels are vented, you guessed it, the foam will get it'll degrade from the water. So it really depends on it really depends on how you want to, what terrain you want to run in. I generally don't run in water just because I don't want to have to deal with the chance of rusting apart or something like that. But I can't tell if these wheels, some of them have cracks in the rubber because they're kind of cheap. But yeah, so these are, I think they're all vented. All right, next up is putting the hub on. So some hubs will be 6 lugs, some will be 5. This one's 5. So you gotta line up the, can't really see it that well. Yeah, you see gotta line up the holes. And this does not pinch the beadlock together. It just holds on this hub so you can put it on your rig. And I think it might just be for looks because they could have integrated it in the wheel maybe. And so you don't have to do this one super tight. It's not really, oopsie, can't do that one there. Yeah, so watch closely as at the cross pattern that I'm doing on this one. So I'm not doing them super tight, just doing them to where they're pretty snug, and then I'll go back and give them a little tug to make sure they're on, because you don't want these vibrating off while you're on the trail. You'd have to walk back, and it just wouldn't be fun. I mean, you could probably run it fine on like 2 or 3 lugs, but you know, they won't stay on there if the other ones aren't on there for long. So alright, so now I'm gonna go back and just give it a little twist. And you don't want to twist it so hard that you strip it. You also don't want it to vibrate off. So you can just kind of judge for yourself, you know, once it's pretty tight and takes a lot of effort to do, and you should be good. So we got this one mounted up. And you see we got the hub on there with the 12mm hex, and we got all 8 screws in the back, 5 in the front. It's ready to hit the trail. I hope this helped. If you're new to the hobby, there's a lot to learn, but it's a lot of fun. Yeah, enjoy the trails. Later, guys.